We have an excellent program lined up for today. Thank you for coming. And these luncheons, which we do every year, are an opportunity to focus back on the overall strategy that we're pursuing as a region. Because what separates effective economic development organizations from all the rest is often having a strategy and being mindful of it and working regularly to advance it. That's very much what we're here today to do and what we're here this time every year to do. Every year we touch back on the strategy that we previously formulated with all of your help, and we move it forward. Last year, if you recall, at this luncheon, we discussed the 3 pillars of this region's economy: experience, service, and enterprise. Now, experience refers mostly to the tourism sector. They're the things that get people to visit us here. Service are institutions that exist for the people who live here. They're anchored by health care, of course, and they're the things that support all of us who live here, the population. And the third, enterprise, is all those individuals and businesses who could be anywhere, but they choose to be here: the manufacturers, the entrepreneurs, the professionals, science and technology. Now, the thing that unites and drives all 3 of these pillars is place, this special place that we live in. And the strategy that we're pursuing here in Warren County with EDC's leadership is to focus on the things that make this place great, especially our natural resources. A place-based strategy like we're following can and will catalyze growth in all 3 of these sectors. And I'm very excited that later in the program today, Jim Siplon is going to make a major announcement regarding this vision. And his announcement has to do with our area being poised to play a leading role in the emerging economy of natural resource protection. And of course, our keynote speaker today, Greg Tevin from Fargo, North Dakota. We couldn't be happier to have Greg with us. We looked all around the country for somebody who could articulate the vision that we've all been following and that we're trying to stay enthusiastic about here. Greg is going to tie all of this together around the concept of place-based development, which he's been very successful doing in Fargo. Greg knows about the challenge that EDC is leading all of us to meet. He has stood where we're all standing. He has seized on the inherent strengths of his community, and he helped formulate a real strategy there, a place-driven strategy that exceeded everybody's wildest expectations. And his efforts have earned Fargo Economic Development Awards, including a recent national award sponsored by the Walton family for having the secret sauce of economic development. And it's funny, when I talk to Greg, I hear Jim Siplon, and I hear definitely that phrase, secret sauce, from you, Jim. So, Greg, thanks for being here. But before we bring Greg up, we have a couple business items to attend to. The first is the change in this organization's leadership, the chairperson, which I mentioned earlier. EDC's incoming board chair is Melanie Weber. Melanie is a leader at Common Roots Brewery, and she's co-owner of Grow for Kids. Melanie, can you stand to be recognized? Thank you for stepping up and donating your time and energy and resources. We appreciate it a lot. Melanie is replacing one of our community's most accomplished leaders, Dr. Chris Duffy, who recently retired after more than 12 years as SUNY Adirondack president. Her accomplishments there included unprecedented investment in our region's educational, workforce, and community assets. She brought that same transformational activism to EDC, and she truly paved the way for a new generation of business advocates and partners who are aligned around creating a sustainable economy and community. And at this time, I'm very pleased to call Chris Duffy up to the podium, along with a member of the EDC Board of Directors, to make a presentation. Please come up. It's Sue Corney, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is such a pleasure for me to be standing up here next to my colleague, my mentor and good friend. In recognition of her years of service and dedication to Warren County EDC, including her leadership as the chair, Chris has been a strong advocate for economic development, education, and community partnerships. Chris helped build ties between Sioux Adirondack, local businesses, and the region. Chris is a force for good. Her enthusiasm and passion are contagious. I'm so grateful for the time I shared with her on the EDC board. As she moves on to her next act, we thank her for leadership and lasting contributions. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Duffy. I bet you can't guess what it is.
Picture of you.
Yes! I'll help you.
Picture of Jim.
Even better.
Talk about place.
Take a picture of it.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Come on. A little, thank you, thank you. People keep asking me, how's retirement? I'm like, it's not hard. I had to get dressed today out of my retirement sweatpants. So, but it feels great to be around so many great colleagues and community members. So thank you for attending today. 12 years is a great run. I'm so proud of the work that I was able to help lead with a whole great host of people at SUNY Adirondack and in this community. But I do want to take a moment to honor President Ertz, who took the helm on July 1st, and I know that you will support her in the same way that so many of you supported me. So thank you, President Ertz, for being here today and for your leadership. And I would be remiss if I didn't just mention why EDC is so important, not only for the time that I spent on the board, but to all of you. And I heard the word sustainable, and I think that's the key word. We want to create long-term sustainable economy, and the EDC leads that in a very nonpartisan way, identifying and amplifying the complex and interconnected nature of our communities. It blends, the traditional attract and retain economic development with facilitating knowledge sessions like these, understanding the changing faces of the communities such as ours. Remember the demographic drought for a couple years ago. Infrastructure projects like the project recently in North Creek to allow for responsible growth, working alongside the municipalities and private businesses to address our emerging needs. EDC amplifies the assets. We talk about place. Look at this beautiful place that we get to gather in today. Our waterways, our healthcare, our education, and the living and playing places that attract and keep people in this region. So EDC is your partner in this place that will thrive with your support and guidance. I was honored to serve and and now I get to stand on the sideline cheering you all on in the benefit for all of us. So thank you very much, and thank you, EDC.
Thank you, Dr. Duffy. Thank you for your leadership. Speaking of education, I do want to acknowledge that we have representatives here from several of our school districts, the Bolton Central School District, Glens Falls School District, North Warren, Lake George, Queensbury, and Warrensburg. They're all here, and that's thanks to the generosity of the following entities that donated seats: Barton and LaJudas, Charter Communications, Fort William Henry, Heidelberg Materials, Just Water, the Niemer Motor Group, Six Flags Great Escape, Stewart's Shops, and Birch Bottle and Packing. Thank you all. On to our second business item. The purpose of Warren County EDC, first and foremost, is to retain jobs and advocate for the businesses that are already here. When businesses in this region are threatened, we serve as a forum to ensure that the community understands the threat and can link arms to help push forward toward a solution. One such threat we're facing now is to community health centers. Now, as everybody here knows, there's a disproportionate percentage of our population that relies on Medicare and Medicaid, and changes to these programs always have a potential impact on our regional economy. But another issue that is confronting our healthcare foundation, which stands to be impacted in a major way, is changes in the 340B program, and it involves primarily Hudson Headwaters and Glens Falls Hospital. And here to explain a bit more about that is the Director of External Affairs for Hudson Headwaters, Pam Fisher. Pam?
Thank you, everyone. Hi, I'm Pam Fisher from Hudson Headwaters, and I'm here today to share how Hudson Headwaters and other safety net providers meet the growing healthcare needs through the 340B federal drug pricing program. The name 340B might not grab your attention, but what it does for our community absolutely should. I want to thank the EDC for inviting Hudson Headwaters to talk with you today about this important program. When I first met Jim Siplon, now over a decade ago, believe it or not, he said something that he knows I have borrowed and repeated ever since, and that is, a community is only as strong as its education and healthcare systems. People choose to live, work, and raise families where they can count on strong schools and quality health care. At Hudson Headwaters, we provide that care for everyone, regardless of insurance or ability to pay. We're a nonprofit, federally qualified health center with over 1,000 employees and 26 primary care sites from Moreau to the Canadian border, a service area of roughly the size of New Jersey. We can't do this alone. We collaborate daily with hospital partners like Glens Falls Hospital to keep care close to home. Right now, Hudson Headwaters, many rural hospitals, and other safety net providers are affected by pharmaceutical companies' efforts to weaken 340B, a program that was created by Congress in 1992 with widespread bipartisan support. It allows safety net providers like ours to purchase certain medications at a discount from drug manufacturers, and we are required to reinvest those savings directly into patient care and community programs. The visual beside me shows what this looks like locally. As just one example, since 2018, Hudson Headwaters has reinvested $68 million of 340B savings just in building and facility investments, building a health center in Salem, opening a pediatric practice in Plattsburgh, and launching a PACE program, or Program for All-Inclusive Care of the Elderly, in Glens Falls that helps keep seniors safely at home for as long as possible. Another example, in 2023, when a local OBGYN office announced that it was closing, there was concern that families would have to travel farther and that labors and deliveries might shift away from the snuggery at Glens Falls Hospital. Thanks to 340B savings, Hudson Headwaters expanded OBGYN services and kept those births right here at home. Without 340B, our community would look a lot different. In over 20 states, legislation has been passed to protect the 340B program. Similar legislation has now been proposed here in New York State. And I want to be clear, 340B funding comes from pharma. It does not come from New York State. It does not cost our taxpayers. I know that some of you were at the Albany Business Review breakfast last week. Our CEO, Dr. Tucker Slingerland, who's here today, was a panelist and was asked what community and business leaders can do to help. His advice was simple and powerful. Empower yourself with accurate information, understand what 340B means to your region, and let your elected officials know how much accessible health care matters to the North Country and to Hudson Headwaters. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you, Pam. As Pam said, let me emphasize one more time, please educate yourself on this issue and help your state legislators understand. Assemblywoman Warner, thank you for your support. We understand that you've had a bill for several sessions now. We appreciate it. I want you to know that the news is not all concerning and not all bad. In fact, it's mostly good. Jim asked me here to MC today, partially because it's been 5 years since the coronavirus pandemic, when I served as Warren County Administrator. During that trying time, we had a second unexpected misfortune befall this community, and that was the unanticipated death of Ed Bartholomew, who led this organization for many years. And as many of you know, perhaps the most significant initiative that Ed was working on when he passed away was the DRI, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative in Glens Falls. It is such a tribute to Ed that this dream is now coming to fruition. The DRI has involved a major commitment of energy, resources, and time. We're more than 10 years out from when Ed started this, and we're only now seeing it pay its full dividends. Its early accomplishments included public art and murals in SUNY Adirondacks Downtown Culinary Center. And then came Arrow Bank's dramatic campus renovations, JMZ's renovations to the Fowler Building, Downtown Social, Chris Patton's redevelopment of the historic American House on South Street. And over the past 2 years, the new Events Downtown Center was completed. Construction began on the former Incubator, Shooters, and Sandy's properties, along with a new 4-story mixed-use building, all by Bonaccio Construction. And with all this in motion, continued redevelopment by Chris Patton, Union Square, and others have begun along the same corridor. All told, a decade plus of planning, partnership, and perseverance are bearing fruit and producing a true revitalization of a long-neglected portion of the largest city in this county. Factoring all the new storefronts, restaurants, and apartments, including affordable units that have come online, the initial $10 million DRI award has yielded nearly $50 million in total development. This is something to be proud of. Thank you. It's something to be proud of. It's an example to the entire state of how to do downtown revitalization. And perhaps more importantly, our experience with the DRI underscores that economic development requires time. It requires a dedicated commitment to strategy. It's not always about quick returns and easy-to-see rewards. Now, another sort of nose to the grindstone effort of EDCs that has paid off is broadband expansion. Again, 5 years ago when Ed died and Jim was appointed to succeed him, Jim came to see me and Warren County's elected leaders to ask what we needed. And the answer we gave Jim at the time was broadband, broadband, and broadband. And EDC responded. In short order, EDC did a regional needs assessment that is now used as a model by other regions of the state. EDC convened a wide swath of key players, including carriers, community organizations, elected leaders, and others to problem solve and move the effort forward with a regional approach, not a piecemeal locality by locality approach, a true regional approach. That forum became known as the North Country Broadband Alliance. It has no public funding, no charter, just people who are dedicated and focused on the mission at hand, and it still meets weekly today, 5 years since it was created. It has yielded remarkable results, increasing broadband access from 75% when it started to more than 95% for Warren County residents. Now, EDC's other activities over the past 5 years include exciting developments in entrepreneurial programs, small business support through the county's LDC, and key infrastructure projects such as North Creek's first wastewater treatment system. We will hear from Jim later regarding some of these. My point in mentioning all of these today is not to take a trip down memory lane. It's to highlight for everybody in this room, whether you served with me back then in government or whether you're with me now in the private sector, that positive things are happening. There's real work to be done here. This region, unlike most others, has a strategy, and it's a good strategy. We've all got a part to play. We must have the active support of everybody in this room, and I mean everybody. If you're hearing this and thinking, not me, no, it means you. It means you. We need everybody. We can't have a future where we find ourselves clinging to ever small pieces of a shrinking pie. We can grow. We are growing. And when this region grows, every one of us and all of our businesses grow along with it. And with that in mind, I'm eager to introduce our keynote speaker. He's going to speak firsthand from his own experience about the importance of doing exactly what we're doing here in Warren County, and that's formulating a place-based strategy, leaning into it, putting every shoulder behind it, and making it all a place that it can be, the best place that it can be. Greg Tevin is an expert in placemaking. He's the CEO and co-founder of Emerging Prairie, an organization that's creating a thriving ecosystem for entrepreneurs, innovators, and technologists in Fargo, North Dakota. Greg has been a leader of the award-winning revitalization of Fargo's approach to economic and community development over the past decade. How did he and his colleagues do this? They looked at Fargo's existing assets and resources. They built up upon their community's existing strengths. They forged an identity and a path forward for Fargo by first and foremost believing in Fargo and loving it, loving the place that they call home. Greg is a fifth-generation North Dakotan. He holds a degree from the University of Minnesota, and he's completed Stanford's Graduate School of Business Social Entrepreneurship Executive course. He's happily married to an entrepreneur, and he's a father of 3. And I'd like to, at this time, play a short video showing a little bit about what Greg is all about.
I think the secret sauce of Fargo is the spirit of creativity, of wonder.
It's a town where you can make something happen. If you're creative, a maker, an entrepreneur, you're one conversation away from someone who might be able to help an idea come to reality.
The secret sauce of Fargo is the creativity and ingenuity of the people who are here and who are coming here and making cool things happen that they want to see, and how they support and try to grow the city that they want to live in.
People in Fargo are hardworking, they're focused on the community, and you will see a level of community good above personal interest everywhere you go in Fargo.
What I love about people in this region is they don't answer the question who, they answer the question me. I can solve the problem. My school needs this, well we should do that, or we want to do this, well I can contribute to that.
People sometimes associate ruralness with lack of progress, which just isn't the case. We have some of the premier healthcare systems for serving rural communities. We have some of the premier educational systems serving rural communities. Microsoft's second largest campus outside of Redmond, Washington is here.
We have a convergence of 3 things coming together: agriculture, energy, and technology. We are the first to innovate the Bobcat, the skid steer loader, Steiger tractor. All these great companies were born in this area.
We really are very proud to talk about our advanced care in our bone marrow transplant program, which is just under 3 years old, amongst many other peds subspecialties, to really provide that care for our families and our children in our backyard and across our state.
We have 2 major healthcare providers. We have major industry in agriculture. We have major industry in steel and mechanical and industrial. We have a symphony and opera.
Our downtown has gotten like dramatically cooler and more of a place where you just want to hang out. And that is because of our park district and places like Folkways activating like a main square to actually exist, and for people to gather in and to have free events that are family friendly.
Fargo has a tendency to wrap its arms around its community and specifically its youth, and it's something that I'm really grateful for.
Really is about the people. The people are kind, the people are hardworking, and really look out for each other and each other within the community.
I'm not going to wait for someone else to shape the place that I want to live, and so we can make it happen ourselves.
We don't want to be the next Austin, Texas, or the next Silicon Valley. We want to be the first Fargo, a unique, interesting place filled with misfits and creativity, where people can experiment and be accepted, and ultimately increase the sense of belonging for each and every person.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Tevin.
morning, everybody. Am I on? Am I on? Test, test. Are we on? Are we good? Can you hear me in the back? Fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm a bit rusty. I haven't done this for a while, and last night I got a little distracted because I flew in and I stayed here, and you have a lot of arcades here. And it turns out when you get to go to an arcade as a parent and you don't have kids to compete with, you get to actually win and spend far less money. What an absolute honor it is. I'm going to have an opportunity to share a little bit about my past, a little bit about what we're working on, and some thoughts for all of you. But first of all, where I'm from, just like geographic question, everybody acknowledge North Dakota is one of the 50 states. Okay, so we too have 2 U.S. senators just like you, but we only have 4% of the population of New York. So we're not all that similar as a state. Second thing, anybody been to North Dakota? Okay, awesome. Thank you for visiting. We lead the country when people are going to all 50 states. Like, we lead the country. Most people that get to the 50th state is North Dakota. And so it's an absolute honor to be an award winner here with all of you. We welcome all of you. And then I do want to make a disclaimer. Anybody ever heard of Mount Rushmore? Okay, South Dakota, not us. Other thing I want to say, we got a lot in common, I'm learning. You guys got the Last of the Mohicans movie, right? We got Fargo. But we got a TV show, so that was exciting. So I love being from North Dakota. It's interesting, like when you travel, I don't know if this is like you, but people actually speak louder to me because they're like, oh, we're from North Dakota, and then they're like, oh my God, I've never met someone from there. And then they speak louder as if we don't, like we can't hear. And then they ask, oh, do you have the internet? It's like, yeah, we do. And they're like, oh, Wells Fargo, love the bank. I'm like, oh no, that's not us either. But I grew up in the so I'm 41, I'm halfway to 82, and I grew up in the 90s in North Dakota, and they were talking about the brain drain. The best and the brightest from North Dakota were leaving. And I wasn't the best or the brightest, but I left because I didn't want anyone to know. And they went, we had a declining population. So from 1930 to 2000, we were one of the only states with a declining population. And they went to these researchers, these Ivy League folks. Anybody know an Ivy League person? Like we should get their autograph or something. But they went and said, what should we do with North Dakota? Declining population. And it was in the National Geographic. They said, give the prairie back to the buffalo. And I am convinced I am a victim of geographical bullying. How can a place elicit such response? But that's where I'm from, and so I couldn't wait to leave. I went to the University of Minnesota. I did a dorm room startup, and then I burned out, and I wandered around the world on a quarter-life crisis. Anybody get one of those? Yeah, it turns out the midlife that I just went through is way worse, but Zoloft is amazing, and that's an anxiety joke, but I got some in the car if you need some. But I got back, and I got a full ride to go to graduate school anywhere I wanted in the world, so through the Rotary Foundation. Any Rotarians here? Thank you for your service. 4-way test, not easy, but I have passed it once. But I got back, and I had to wait for a year, and I ended up working for this guy, Doug Burgum, and he had built a company called Great Plains Software. Anybody ever use Great Plains Software? All right, good. That tells me you've been around for a while. Had a few birthdays, and he was reimagining downtown Fargo, so I was going to work for him. And I started to realize I wanted to create the community I want to be part of. So 11 years ago, I stood on a stage like this in Guernsey. It's one of the islands off the coast of France. And I made this big commitment on how you could create the community you wanted to be part of. So I want to give you a little update how that's going. So the test I thought is if I wanted to create the community I want to be a part of, there was 4 things I needed to focus on. Create world-class experiences. How do we be the first Fargo? We didn't want to be the next Austin, Texas, or the next Boulder, Colorado. We wanted to be the first Fargo. The second was infuse the arts. Infuse the arts in everything we do. The third was connect people, share friends, get people off to a great start. And the last one was be radically inclusive. How could we take Fargo and make it the most inclusive place we could be? And the results after the last 11 years have been absolutely transformational. North Dakota is now one of the youngest states in the country. Our average age is about 35.7 years old. Why? 2 key factors: world-class public education and world-class healthcare. The 2 things that bring people to our state are great colleges and universities and great healthcare. You all have that same opportunity. What are you doing to encourage your teachers, to thank your nurses? How do we be great customers? Now, as a parent, I think, God, parent-teacher conference, another reflection of my self-improvement opportunities. But we have an opportunity to do that. This is from an event where we had an e-commerce conference in the middle of a mall. The mall was dying. Turns out you don't even have to rent it. You just use their storefronts. There's no distractions with people. But we've built an e-commerce community. Then we started to have events where we just thank people. We have a fundraiser once a year called 1 Million Thanks. We give out awards and we celebrate people in our community. We tell our CFO it's a fundraiser because we lose like $100,000. We forget to ask people for money. But we celebrate our entrepreneurs, and we make it interesting and exciting. We have a TEDx event. It's one of the largest in the country. We've had hundreds of speakers, millions of views. We got 2,000 people there. And we don't just get people from the state. We get the Lamoureux sisters who won gold medals, or the president of Microsoft, all these folks, the power of an invitation to gather. And then folks like this for the last 11 years have been making, that's one of the guys in the middle, he was on that video. His name's Joe Burgum. He runs the largest farmers market in our community. Over 100,000 people show up every summer to this farmers market. But what I find interesting is the start of all these projects. It's like everybody in my community appointed themselves a devil's advocate. It's like, we're good on those. It's like, I have to take it upon myself to tell the young people why it won't work. And I realized, like, imagine if somebody would have told that author, J.K. Rowling, like, I don't think you should write that first book. Think about how many times she was denied until she gave us Harry Potter. But yet we all hear ideas. And I want to challenge you, when somebody comes up to you with an idea, look for the reasons why it can work. Believe me, there's bankers out there that'll tell us why it's not bankable. But we all have an opportunity to support great ideas. The other thing that's happened in North Dakota is we've become a very wealthy state. We now have the 49th largest sovereign wealth fund in the country. It's called the Legacy Fund. It's a $12.5 billion fund that the state taxes itself on oil and gas revenue to reinvest and reimagine our community. And North Dakota is an incredible place, and the results speak for themselves. And then one of those entrepreneurs, and I love entrepreneurs. How many of you know an entrepreneur? And okay, good. It's like you need a self-help group to like support people that live with them. I do. But entrepreneurs are incredible because they dream of the possibility. You know, when I think about our artists, when I've learned about your community, I'm just blown away. I got to go by the shirt factory last night. Has anybody ever been to that place? I'm just going to go out on a limb and guess that guy or gal's guidance school counselor didn't say one day you're going to build this collaborative with 100 artists and 4 stages and murals and containers. And I went by there going, oh my God, I want to live in a place like that. The power of imagination. I always believe entrepreneurs drive our economy, but our artists drive our creativity, and they give us a hint into the future of the world. And our artists know where things are. And I want to challenge each and one of you to be an advocate for the arts. And I'm not asking a musician to play at one of your events for exposure. I'm asking you to pay them, to vote with your checkbook, vote with your feet, show up, encourage them. I was with Susan last night where I heard stories of her launching artists and supporting them. And we all have an opportunity to do that. I think communities like this can win with the arts. I don't get art. I got my first B in my life in an art class. I still don't get it. But I know it's important. And I know when a community has great public art, it's a signal of openness and inclusion. So I'd encourage you to think about that. So then a few years ago, I got one of those key questions. You know those questions you get where you're like, I can't get it out of my head. And there was this guy, Barry Batchelor. He's from the great state of New York. His mom was a Rockette. His dad was a pilot. Both were pretty disengaged at the home, so he grew up on the streets of New York City. And he wanted to go to a place where he could afford education. And he found North Dakota. And he came in the 60s. During the space race, and he built several companies. One was, he put the first computer chip on a tractor. He sold the company to John Deere. Now he sold one to AGCO, which is the 3rd largest equipment organization. And at one of our community events, he asked me, Greg, what is our community's major? And he's an engineer, so he said, what do we have a right to exist in? What matters to the world? And what do we actually have a chance to experience and to actually win at? And so I got together with Barry and a college kid we brought him with, and we got another entrepreneur, and we started to dream what was our community's major. And we started to enjoy alcohol. And so now I'm no longer able to go to dinner with Barry after 8 p.m. because there were some rough mornings. And we were filled with terrible ideas like a robot parade. Who wants to go to a robot parade? I don't really know. But then we said it's got to be advanced technology in agriculture. And so it came up with this idea of Grand Farm. What would happen if we created an independent, neutral platform that collaborated to support growers, that engaged early stage companies, the academic organizations, the established organization, policymakers, to solve real problems for real farmers in agriculture. And unlike our friends in New York City, we all know food comes from the field, not the grocery store. And so we had an opportunity in the heartland to celebrate that. And so we wanted to take a different approach. If you think about economic development, there's a wide range of ways you could do it. One is you could do the simple approach, just use a recipe. Do A, get B, make some calls, try to get a phone center or call center to come, whatever. The second is a complicated model. How do you send a rocket to the moon? What is the formula? How do you do advanced things with a formula? The third was complex. Anybody tries to raise a child? Like, I had 3 kids under 3. It's obvious why nobody encouraged me to do that. But it's complex, multiple inputs. I don't know what's working. Often I know what's not working. But then there's the chaotic approach. Like, has anybody ever been to like India? Or you like try to go through traffic, you're like, how does this work? Or maybe you spent some time in Vietnam and you see this, but like chaotic strategies. Or I've been told in the summer, if you go down this main drag, you guys get to experience it like every day because millions of people are coming here. So we tried to take a complex approach. Not out of a textbook, but what if we did a bunch of things and tried a bunch of impact to see what could happen? And so it started to work. In 2017, we launched this idea of an advanced technology in agriculture. Somehow, Microsoft wanted to be relevant in rural America, which is great, and they made a $1.5 million kickoff to get us off the ground as we looked at building a steering committee of people to solve problems. What were the problems in North Dakota? What could advanced technology in agriculture solve? We knew access to venture capital was a big thing. Did you know? I bet you didn't. So you're going to like tell your friends, you're going to be so important, you can post this on LinkedIn. Do you know who the #1 venture capitalist in North Dakota was in 2019? We got not available because we didn't have any, so we had to work on that. Then we had to think about on-farm safety. We had to think about how do you get young people involved to stay and contribute. And we started to work on it, and so we launched this idea. And at our first event, we were so grateful because Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, came. And it turns out he just loves pheasant hunting. And so we were close to pheasant hunting. And so we came, we had a first event, we had Sandy's Donuts, which is like premium donuts, which was great, and a tent. But that was our first ever event. And then this entrepreneur gave us 40 acres of land. So we got a porta potty out there, and it was during the pandemic, and we could do outdoor things. So we started inviting people. And then the state of North Dakota was going to do an autonomous plowing solution because it turns out getting people to drive plows in a blizzard is not enjoyable. Has anyone ever tried that? Don't recommend it. And so all of a sudden, we did this event out at Grand Farm with autonomous plowing. And then we connect the sugar beet farmers with that same company, Kratos, down in Florida. And now they've done 300,000 acres of autonomous truck testing in North Dakota because of us just hosting and gathering people. And then so we got this tent up, and we would just do anything. Like a college kid would like say, oh, I want to have an event out at your place. We're like, perfect, we'll buy you pizza. And then they came, and then fancy people would come see our Grand Farm, and we'd get a whiteboard, and we'd write up a bunch of fake stuff like Good Will Hunting on the whiteboard. And then people thought we were smart, and all of a sudden Chairman Pai, the FCC, came, and then the mayor of Fargo came up to me like, Greg, you got Grand Farm? I'm like, yes. He's like, you're getting hundreds of people out here? I'm like, yes. He says, this doesn't seem very grand. I'm like, but we have 3 porta potties now. And then we started to dream bigger. And during the ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act, or whatever that was, somehow the legislator thought that they should give us $10 million for COVID response to build a 25,000 square foot facility at Grand Farm. We bought 140 acres of land. Here's the grand opening. We had balloons and like famous people. And now people just keep coming. We just had 150 FFA kids from across the country, and they got a chance to hear from Jamie Heineman, the Chief Technology Officer of John Deere. And when you ask high school kids to give corporate execs feedback, it is awesome. It is so raw. They just keep pushing them. It's like real feedback, not like pleasantry feedback. So that was good. Let's see what else we got here. And then we keep having all these events. So we threw up an AI conference in agriculture because that's kind of the buzzword. We hosted a U.S. Senate hearing with 4 members of the U.S. Senate Agriculture Committee, Senator Bozeman from Arkansas, Klobuchar and Smith from Minnesota, Senator Hoeven. We had Secretary Rollins come out to Grand Farm this summer for a tour on advanced technology in agriculture. And just last week, we had the Brookings Institute and the American Enterprise Institutes doing a rural prosperity tour, and they came and they're meeting our community. And we realize it's all just because we had this vision and idea to invite the world. So since we've opened, we've had 5,000 visitors. We have 450 acres of land. We host international groups. Like, who knew? Like, more international people come to North Dakota than like all of you. And so they're coming from like all over the world, which is really fun. And we have all these field tests. We have 70 corporations that pay us as partners to support the innovation ecosystem. And now we just kicked off a $40 million capital campaign to build a bigger campus to engage more in advanced technology in agriculture. And I tell you this whole story as this kid with an idea who grew up on a family farm, but the only thing I did on the farm is I took it upon myself to help grandma while my dad and my brother and my grandpa were farming. I played rummy and ate ice cream with her as my contribution to the farm. People can have wild and crazy ideas. I don't have a background in agriculture. I don't have a background in traditional economic development, but through collaboration with Emerging Prairie, the parent organization in Grand Farm, we've seen results. Our local EDC gave us the first $100,000 to contribute to this vision. Our local EDC was the one that opened the doors to get us off the ground. The partners within the EDC were the ones that gave us the platform to share our story to their colleagues, that chipped in the financial resources and told their friends and have invited the world. The Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC was the transformational organization that paved the way for us to do all this work. And that's what I sense here. When I got here today, I went organization by organization and I looked at who's showing up. I looked at the names of the people that are volunteering and chipping in. You know, when I had an opportunity to hear from Dr. Duffy just sitting there, I asked, what are you going to do after retirement? She said, I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to keep at it. I get the sense that everything that I've seen here, whether it's Glen Falls downtown and the incredible theater, this reimagination of a Main Street, you know, I do think you could close a couple of those arcades to help people like me financially. But there's 3 things I'd encourage you to think about as you build your own story. Oh, one other thing is like we've raised like $170 million of federal grants. Like that was pre-Doge money, so who knows what it'll end up at. But we've won nationally competitive National Science Foundation grants, Economic Development Administration grants, USDA grants, because of this vision of solving real problems for a real audience, in this case farmers, and collaborating and building partnerships. So 3 things I'd encourage each and one of you to do today. One is declare your major. Every region that declares the major does better, and I believe the bolder, the wilder, the stranger than ever. One time, Barry, the founder, were having one of those coffees, and he just got back from the dentist. Anybody got pain meds after the dentist? So he got those, and I don't know what he was on, but like I liked it, and I kind of wanted some. And he said, what if we do farming on space? Did you know the feds invest hundreds of millions of dollars a year in space farming? And so we've brought NASA and those organizations. So declare a major, commit. One is go public and invite the world. We had our first press release, and we're on the front page of the newspaper with just the idea and the name. We didn't know anything. And it turns out if you have bold ideas, people don't want you to fail, so they like fill in all the gaps. And it's amazing. You don't have to figure it out. This isn't like a university model where they announce a fundraising campaign, but 70% is done. We announce with $10. And we go for 40, just like I did today. So if anybody wants to close the gap, that'd be great. And then the last is a bias towards action. I think the worst thing you can do from a strategy point of view as you try to change the world is you sit on your hands. You have committee meetings. You know, I think about people that are like, well, I helped out. I was talking to a mayor one time. She's like, oh, I helped these entrepreneurs. I was like, oh, what'd you do? She's like, I sent them a grant proposal. I'm like, wow, you sent them paperwork. What a gift. I think we all have an opportunity to create the community we want to be a part of. And I think bold economic development strategies are what change the world. I'm proud to be an American. This is like a country where you can declare bankruptcy and start over. It's possible. So we don't need devil advocates. We need to support our artists. And the last thing I'll say is back to our grand opening of the Grand Farm. I had my kids on stage because I try to include them in everything I do. And they sat through 2 hours. We had like 14 elected officials. Like, Jesus, like 79 hours of programming. Just kidding, it was quick. But they talked about space farming and the future of technology to feed the world and support energy initiatives. And they pulled the balloons down. And that night when I was tucking my son AZ, Alexander, in, who's 5, he starts asking me, hey, Dad, if we're going to farm on space, or in space, how big of a rocket ship do we need to bring a tractor with? And what are the soil conditions like? And then I brought him out when we had our Autonomous Nation conference. He says, can I be a drone pilot? How do I get a license to fly one of those things? And I thought to myself, I need to engage young people in every single step of the process. Because young people know the world today. Yes, we have our stories from the past, and that's important. But the cliche of they're 100% of our future is so true. So I hope you'll be bold, I hope you'll declare a major, and I hope you'll continue to support one another on this entrepreneurial journey of a community. I've only been here for 24 hours, but it's beautiful here. Your downtown has energy and excitement, and I think we should have the next year's event at the T-shirt factory. Because that place tells me this place is filled with possibility. If you can do that, you can do anything. Thank you for having me. Have a great rest of your day.
You know, I love a good podium, and so I never miss one. And when we were preparing for this year's luncheon, I had several people say, we got to find some people besides you to talk, Jim. And we went out on a quest over the entire country to find somebody that would be energetic, that would help us see things that were possible here, but maybe not that we would have come up on our own. Ryan and Mark Behan helped me with that. We spent most of the year looking. We auditioned literally hundreds of people without them knowing it. And we found Greg. And I got to tell you, he's my new best friend. This is somebody who still has the zeal for what it takes. And it reminds us all that this is not some game for others or something for the future. It's not, we are not past our ability to do it. He's in it. You know what else? He tells me that we're on the right path without even knowing it. We have kids from most of the school districts in Warren County here today, and we wanted to get them all. We're still working to get them all. And everything we do, we've realized we are incomplete unless we are not only engaging them and listening to them, but giving them exposure to be a part of what is their future. It is only 20 years of my life. It's all of their life. This is not an elective. We've got to figure out how to capture the energy that is there, the ideas that are there, and we not only want to keep them, we want to bring more of them here. And if they can see more of Greg, I'm hopeful that we can be more for them. And I want to thank all of you students who took time out of your day to join us today. Yes. There's a bunch of important things here that I want to touch on that are going on, mostly so you're aware, but it's really not where we want to spend the most of the time. Our strategy is threefold. You probably get tired of hearing about it, but we're going to keep going at it because it has to underpin everything that we do. For as long as this place has existed, the first third of our economy has always been based on people coming here who don't live here. And there's a whole world there that we can make even better. And right now, we're really focused on some really important things about how that can be better. We want the tourism economy here to be robust. We want it to support a living wage for more people. We want it to be year-round. We want to figure out how to leverage the interest in this place for greater things, not only for the visitors, but for the people who live here. And one of the things we've engaged in, which has been hot, is this idea of, should we spend money that is earmarked for tourism on investments that will grow the pie? And I'm going to tell you, the EDC is always going to be on the side of whatever it takes to grow the pie. whatever it takes for us to create an even bigger share of what we already are. And in North Creek, for 30 years, they were trying to get a wastewater system. And the EDC invested themselves, along with others, in this most recent effort. And over 5 years, Chuck Barton, I see you out there, my friend, who was literally instrumental in this, we put ourselves right in the middle of one of our smallest communities every week, still there every week, trying to both understand what would it take to make something like that happen and then get it across the goal line. There's a wastewater system being built. After 5 unsuccessful elections to create such a district, it has been created and it is in motion right now. As soon as it went into motion, some interesting things happened. Keir Weimer bought what was the old Copperfield Hotel and started a $12 million renovation to take something that had been moribund for a decade into an asset that would immediately deliver value. It will open later this year. A developer named David Kronheim, who has a multi-billion-dollar portfolio of properties across the United States and the world, but who loves skiing at Gore, started buying property and has already begun developing them. One is a distillery which faces the ski bowl, where Orda is making a $25 million investment in a new facility that will be even more instrumental in creating connection between the town and that asset. What does all of this mean? It's designed to create a year-round tourism season there that will complement their winter tourism season, to expand our tourism market. What did it take to do that? It took us engaging in things that maybe we wouldn't have been engaged in before. It's important. It's delivering value. I'm proud that we did it. We're going to do more of it. And those of you from North Creek, we're still there. We're coming every single week. We're honorary members of your community. I see Anna out here somewhere. Anna's on the town board there. Thank you for having us. The service sector that we talked about, which is anchored by healthcare. Last year, I took a little bit of heat for giving Glens Falls Hospital a pretty much open parameter that took us past our deadline to talk about the launch of their campaign for a new emergency room. I don't care about taking the heat. It was the right thing to do. There is no more important asset in our community from a business standpoint than Glens Falls Hospital, the leading employer north of the chip fab. Without Glens Falls Hospital, we will not have healthcare in a region that's as big as the state of New Jersey, that's even close to what we have today. We must protect it. We must invest in it. I'm proud of the fact that they chose to launch their campaign with us. They've successfully now begun the execution phase of it. It is a victory for this community in terms of how it prioritizes and does the things that matter. And listen to Greg talk about the fact that a differentiator in communities that win and those that are not is whether or not they continue to invest in education, youth, and healthcare. I'm proud to say that this community gets that and knows it, and I want to thank you all for that support. Recently, Glens Falls Hospital was reasserted as a magnet facility, which is a very difficult thing to get. And if you put that together with Hudson Headwaters and all the expansion that they've done, we are literally a growth engine for the thing we need most. We're one of the oldest places and one of the oldest places in America. We got to start by taking care of the people who are here. We got to protect the institutions that we have. I heard that call to action from Pam, but I got to tell you, I want to amplify it. Any change to 340B represents not just some kind of political thing between pharma and healthcare. It represents an existential risk to the undercurrent of how healthcare is delivered in a region like ours. I cannot imagine what it would be like without those 26 healthcare systems that are throughout the park. When you go to a community, there are really 2 or 3 things that define whether it is a community or it's a collection of houses. Does it have what was a Glens Falls National, now Arrow branch? Does it have a Stewart's? And does it have a Hudson Headwaters clinic? If it has those things, it's a place. It's a place that can be invested in and grown and developed. It can be a place that works for the people that are there. We must stand with Hudson Headwaters on this, not just because they're a leading employer and not just because they're on my board, because it matters to every single one of us, and we're going to continue to advocate for it, and I'm going to look to get every one of you engaged in something that matters to us all. We cannot operate without them. Thank you for being here. Well, that takes us to the last part of our strategy, though. Our last part of the strategy, if the first part is other people's money and the second part are the things that deliver services to us, what's the third part? And remember that I'm a manufacturer. I'm a guy who's built factories, probably the last guy to build a factory here. I know that sector. I know we want to continue to support the legacy ones that exist and bring new ones here, but I also know that that is not the path by itself that will take us to where we need to be. It does not attract young people. It employs people whose median age is even older than our median age. It does not grow our median income. It does not add surface area to our economy from what we already have. We have to think about what we do beyond that. And we've chosen two paths to begin. I want to recognize Bob Bullock, who is here sitting at the head table, who's been leading quietly Startup ADK's programming at SUNY Adirondack for the last several years when he's not in the prison, delivering services to prisoners who are about to be released to get them educationally ready to reemerge. Bob's joined the EDC team, and together he and I are embarked on a path to really grow the entrepreneurial sector that we have here. We're still in the imagination stages, and we're looking to get as many people involved, but we'd like to create something that goes along with Startup ADK that looks like Scale-Up ADK. I want to recognize the LDC members of the board. There are a number of them here who've decided that they're going to move past some of the very limited things they've done for the last 20 or 30 years and begin to aggressively invest in things that will expand our entrepreneurial resources, to bring the people that Greg's talking about and to those that are already amongst us to support them. I'm not sure we have all the right ideas, but we got a lot of great ideas, and we'll be looking to engage many of you as we look to build that out. And there's a final idea that we launched on this stage 2 years ago, where we looked out at that lake and we said the thing that we literally all share, that unifies us all, is not only that lake, but everything it represents. The Adirondacks, the hundreds of bodies of water that are like it, just the investment in what is the Adirondack Park, the largest preserved property that is not federal land in the United States. And how do we turn that not into a tax, but into an asset that produces enterprise? And I brought Marty Schmidt here and John Kelly here, and we started to talk about how we could take the science that's been developed around this lake and turn it not only into science that supports this lake, but turn it into something that would generate knowledge, that would create industry that does not exist today. And then I started meeting Greg and looked at the audacity of what he's done in Fargo, where he literally planted his flag and said, we will be the agri-technology hub of America, and we'll just go make it happen. I thought, what are we waiting for? The politics will never be right. Every moon will not be aligned. But I can tell you, and I'm here to announce today, that we are moving forward with this vision. Last week, we met with some of the key stakeholders in that. Marty Schmidt was again there representing RPI, Dr. Schmidt. John Kelly, Dr. Kelly, who represents not only RPI as their board chair, but he is the chair of the Lake George Association and literally the father of AI as we know it, who's one of us. Number of other luminaries. We gathered them all and we said, are you ready? And they said yes. And so today, later today, there will be a press release that says that there will be a Center for Freshwater Protection, and it will be proximate to Lake George, and it will serve the needs of not only this community, but a world that is desperate for solutions that will help people either maintain clean water or achieve it. And from that, it will have three components. One will be a science component, so that we can continue to do this world-class science and we can attract even more. At least 10,000 square feet of world-class facilities with expensive equipment that will attract that kind of interest in our place. We are planting the flag. The second piece will be a visitor center or some kind of educational component. Could be an aquarium, could be a museum, could be all kinds of things, but it will be a place to engage young people, to teach people, to have them bring this knowledge back to wherever they're from, and to add surface area to our already existing tourism market. And the third piece is the piece that nobody's really ever explored before, which is how do we turn all of this into economic development? And we're going to the state to say that the 16th or 17th or whatever it is that we're at the number of defined economic development channels that should have a charter, should have a leadership team, should have investment measured in millions of dollars to grow that industry here in New York, is freshwater protection and natural resource protection. And this center will be a place where those ideas are provided with resources so they can become enterprise. It still kills me that the Jefferson Project has not yet produced a single enterprise. It's shameful that we have the best knowledge of how to protect freshwater in the world, and we have yet to create a company that shares it and that profits from that, that creates jobs that are aligned with the park. That's going to end now. Now we're on the path of trying to figure out how we engage all of the players that it will take. There will be a formal press release announcement made later today. I think Ryan will help us launch it. We've already lined up a lot of press to talk about this because there's a lot of people that are interested. Greg asked, what is our major? I'm going to tell you what our major is because we don't really have a choice. 92% of Warren County sits behind the blue line. It's in the Adirondack Park. Everything north of us is essentially boxed out from traditional economic development. We have no choice but to be about where we are. And we have one of the most beautiful places in the world to do it from. Our major is protecting that and figuring out how to add that to the texture of the rest of our economy and the rest of our sustainable community for generations going forward. Today we start on that audacious journey. You were here when we talked about it 2 years ago. You were here when we launched on it. I hope you're here to keep me from being fired for doing it. I want to let you go, but there's one more thing I want to say, and it came up when I was spending time with Greg over the last day or two. His commitment to arts is really important. It's not just because he wants it in the community that he lives in, it's because he represents it as surface area that both attracts and holds young people and allows us to be more. We have a spectacular arts and cultural scene here, but that is also one that needs support. And I see John Laffner here from the Hyde Gallery. We've engaged all of the major arts and cultural organizations in coming together to figure out how we can better support them, because they are an important element of the soft infrastructure that will both define and help us grow this particular place. I want to thank you, John, for coming to something that is not a typical thing for somebody who leads an art collection like you do, but who recognizes its instrumental place in our economy. And I want to make sure you understand that that commitment that we talked about, we're going to make happen this year as well. So listen, you come to these things hopefully not to get out exactly at 1 o'clock, but to find out that something was worth your time. Good food in a good place, listening to people who have ridiculous amounts to share with us like Greg did today, and to feel like, hey, we're in the right place. We're doing the right things. And I got to call on you. We're not done asking for more from you. I need more people to engage in this idea. There will be advisory groups. There will be people where we're trying to simply gain input. We need... Listen, let me be frank, too. We cannot lean solely on Warren County, Glens Falls, and Queensbury to pay for this. The business sector of this community has got to understand that we are protecting what is us and growing it for the next generation, and we're going to need more of it to do these things. This is not going to be done for $500,000 a year. I don't know what the price tag is, but I know it's worth it. I know that this place deserves to win. I know that that lake deserves to be protected, and I know that the knowledge that goes into it deserves to be shared. And whatever that costs, we're going to work on it together, but I'm coming. I'm coming to ask you all to participate in that process with me, whether it's with your time, your talent, or your treasure. We're going to do this together. Thank you all.